Hi, fifth graders. It's time to look at our reading today on pages 370 through 373. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so on 370, we have ask and answer questions. So when we are reading, we should often stop and ask ourselves questions to make sure we understand what we read. So in today's text, or looking at what you read yesterday, in your book it says, when I reread, I learn the answer to the question, what is the main idea of this article? And the main idea is that many species in the United States are non-native, but can be very useful to us. Examples such as oranges and sugarcane support this. Okay, so, hold on. So with us, we might ask a question, what is a non-native species, as we read? And when we stop, we can answer that question. A non-native species is one that came from another place to America in this situation. So when you're looking at what you're reading, ask yourself questions, stop frequently, and make sure you understand what you read. You don't want to read 4 pages and then all of a sudden go, wait a minute, what did I just read? So we want to stop often and ask questions and make sure we can answer those questions. And don't make up questions that don't make sense, or make up questions like, what was the person's name? More about the ideas, the opinions, all that kind of stuff. So good questions that you want to make up and then answer them. And I would go as far as to say, maybe even ask yourself some questions about the text before you ever start. And that'll help you to kind of guide your reading. Author's point of view is on the next page. And that one deals with, in a persuasive article, the position on the topic. Not talking about, is it written from a first person or a third person point of view, but is it written because the author likes or is for this type of topic, or is the author against this topic? Do they think it's a good thing? Do they think it's a bad thing? But we don't want to say the author thinks it's a good thing, the author thinks it's a bad thing. Okay? What we want to write down or to think about when we think about an author's point of view is just like it says on 371. The author opposes non-native species because many become invasive or hurt native species. Okay? It didn't say that he just doesn't like it. Okay? When he looks at the author, when we're looking at the author's point of view, it gives us what the author's point of view is. Okay? Make sure that when you're writing those things down, or when you're trying to come up with that idea in your head, that you have those types of more explanation involved. When you look for the opinion words, I believe, those best, the scariest, whatever the word is, those are those opinion words. We also look at the word choices that our authors use. He uses in his writing there, as you're looking at these types of things, he uses the when he's talking about the pythons, he says that they would kill off endangered species. He says about how they are not what people would expect to see in Florida, and kind of gives it that negative vibe. And that's the type of thing we look for when we're trying to figure out somebody's point of view. A couple other things that you could look for that I didn't put on here would be pictures. How do the pictures look? Is there a heading that's bigger than another one? Do they give more time or more pages to one point of view than another point of view? So look at those things when you're trying to figure out what is the author's point of view about something. Okay? When you're doing a persuasive article, that's your genre, your persuasive article. That's what you read just a few minutes or yesterday, I guess it was, you read about the non-invasive and the invasive species, and are they good, are they not good? In a persuasive article, the reader wants to support the idea and they want you to support what they are saying. So they give facts and evidence, like it says in number 2 here, to support their opinion. They're trying to convince you to believe what they say is the right way. And throughout the article, they gave us a lot of good facts and evidence to support that, just like you're doing in your opinion papers. You're giving me facts and evidence to try and convince me that what you're saying is the right point of view. Okay? The third thing we see is we see text features, such as charts or headings. If you look back in your reading, there's a chart that gives you different countries and then what was introduced from those countries, the year they were introduced, the pros and the cons for those things that were introduced. It makes it easy for me to compare, and it's quick information. And those charts are nice for that, especially to try and get across the author's point of view. The heading also identifies the main idea or category. You saw we had 2 headings in there, new arrivals welcome and a growing problem. And then even with your right above your chart, you had non-native species benefits and costs. And so each one of those gives you an idea of what you're actually going to be reading about, and that helps us ahead of time to know. When you're doing your workbook page on page 246, I want you to think about when it asks you a question, what genre is it, and then how do you know? When you look at the how do you know part, make sure that you are including 1, 2, and 3 in your answers there. That's the type of thing they want you to do, is to give what are the criteria, what are the things that have to be there to make it a persuasive article. Okay, when you get down to what text feature does this include, you know your text features are here in blue on this part of the video, so it either has to be a chart or a heading, and then tell us what does it add to your persuasive article that you're looking at. Okay, so make sure when you're doing that page there that you're referencing the things that we have on this page. And the last thing we're looking at is root words. The root of something is the base of it. You think about a plant, and the roots in the plant are what makes it what it is, right? It holds it together. And here we have the word invasive, and it comes from the Latin word to go, vad and vas, to go. And so invasive. So something to go, having to do with going someplace. And when we look at our little paragraph there, sometimes the text does help us to understand the meaning. It says non-native species are known as invasive when they harm the environment, our health, or the economy. And so invasive in this place, we might just say that it goes where it shouldn't, that it's something that goes where it shouldn't go. It's a bad thing, right? They're coming in and they're causing problems. Now, with other words, on the bottom of 373, it tells us that you have nativus, a root that means to be born. So if I say I'm a native of Michigan, that would mean that I would be born in Michigan. Most of you, I think, that are watching this are native to Michigan. I, however, am not a native to Michigan because I was not born here. Spec, you think of spectacles. Somebody makes a spectacle of something that makes a big production about it. Spec means appearance, or it could be species, like in species, where it means kind, the appearance, or how the species is, its kind. And then avis, meaning bird, we talk about an aviary. We go, like, if you go to the zoo, you might go to the aviary, and that is avis is the root for bird. So we would go to an aviary means we're going to a place where the birds are kept. All of those Latin and Latin bases help us to understand those words better. Our suffixes and our prefixes also can help us to understand a word. You're not doing any of those in your workbook this week. It's just page 246. So I hope that this has helped you to understand those 4 pages, and I hope that your lesson goes well, and we will see you in the virtual world soon.